Justin Fields, what do I feel? I don't watch TV. I'm not a big TV guy. I catch news as I catch it, and sometimes I just get it from the universe. Whatever I it's just what I hear. What I've noticed this go round with Justin Fields, like at first he was the feel good story after the national championship. Everyone was in love with him. He was the consensus #2 pick. Then as time got closer to the draft, it's like they found every which way to pick him apart. They do that for every prospect, but for him, it was like intentional. Like they were like, okay, we're really gonna delve into him. And
yeah, to the point where we found out he had epilepsy. That's none of our business.
Exactly. And I found that out yesterday when I was listening to 49ers After Dark. I was like, what?
Yeah.
You don't hear that, but I'm like, all right, what are they really trying to prove? And my whole thing with that is like, he's not the first black quarterback to come into the NFL. So no. Focusing on him. And my thing is, maybe out of all the quarterbacks that have come out, he really has a chance because I don't remember Cam Newton be highly recruited when he was in college. He actually went to JUCO.
That's true.
Russell Wilson, he was at NC State, and his coach told him,
get out
of here. He had to go to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, he won a Heisman, but even when he came into the NFL, they were calling him a receiver. So I don't know if it's because out of all the quarterbacks, because Russell's problem was he was a pure quarterback, but his size what kept him out of it.
Yeah.
Justin Fields has the size. He has acumen. He's played at a big school. He has everything they've been looking for in a quarterback. The only thing, and I've watched more of him, the throwing motion isn't a pure throwing motion.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's like it was built.
Yep.
Yes. It was like
that's what Jim Mora Jr. said to me yesterday. He's like, it's not fluid. It feels like a trained, learned motion.
Exactly. And when you look at him opposed to the other ones, you just see how and again, I think Mora did say that. He said labored. It's not labored. It just doesn't look as fluid as everyone else.
Agree. Yeah.
So with that, and again, like people don't like the comparison, and he has a lot of Cam Newton. Like I've tried to. I was like, at first, when I first said it, I was like, that's lazy scouting. But then as I looked at a lot of quarterbacks, Randall Cunningham, Steve McNair, not just because they're black, because most of the quarterbacks, they were that athletic. So I was going off the athletic profile, and I was like, he has the Cam Newton effect. Everything he's ripping the ball.
Yeah.
Big, strong kid. The throwing motion isn't the purest, but it gets there.
Yeah, that's definitely Cam. Yep.
So I'm gonna stick with that. He's Cam Newton-ish, but I will say his placement of the balls is further along than they were when Cam Newton was. I did go back and watch Auburn, and Cam Newton, his throwing motion had to get rebuilt in the NFL. At least Justin Fields has a leg up there, and I think with the right coach, maybe it's Shanahan, he could get that down. But the throwing motion, I don't see it as a thing that you just unlearn. It's like when you grow, you're 18, 19, whatever your habits are at that point. I think that's kind of what you could learn something else, but as soon as you get in trouble, you go back to your habits.
That's what I think. Absolutely.
So that's my thing with him.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
I mean, the throwing motion, as you pointed out, that's legit. And then to me, the decision making is in question because he holds the ball a long time. But then what you wanted to point out is the Ohio State thing. Just real quick, I'm gonna mute you real quick because there's a little feedback. But the Ohio State thing, it seems like a lot of people are like, well, Ohio State has never ever developed a quarterback, so the numbers that he put up don't really count. I mean, a lot of guys put up good numbers. The wins that he had don't really count. A lot of quarterbacks have won. And that seems like a really easy way to just, negate everything he's done and write him off. It seems like he's a much more physically gifted quarterback than anyone Ohio State has ever had.
Yes.
So
I totally agree. And just to expound that, like since 1970 merger, Ohio State, these type of places, they've never been considered like quarterback U. The teams that have been quarterback U has been Purdue, Washington, Miami, Stanford, USC, Notre Dame. These are the teams that produce quarterbacks if you're looking at it. And if you want to see who the most, like Purdue has the most starters, like the most starters. Exactly. And then you have Washington has exactly, bro. So when we start like nitpicking and we're like, well, he went to Ohio State, they don't produce any quarterbacks at Ohio State. Well,
who produces quarterbacks?
You know what I'm saying? So there's only a select amount of schools that produce quarterbacks. So I never liked that argument. Well, Ohio State. And then look at the Ohio State quarterbacks they've had. Not one of them were 5-star recruits coming out of high school. Most of them were just athletes. Cordell, what was the guy?
Braxton Miller.
Pryor. All of them, bro. They were pure quarterbacks. This is probably the first pure one that they had.
Yeah, and he transferred in, which is interesting.